So today we're going to be tying what's called a Muskrat Nymph. And so what I'm using is going to be a size 14 barbless hook. I like to use more of the scud shrimp pupa hook, I guess you could call it. It has a little bit more of a curve to it. Gives it a cooler shape. So being called a Muskrat Nymph, what we're going to be using is some wire, because we're really only going to be using dubbing on the hook, and that's really all it is covering the hook and dubbing. So I'm using some about 0.5 millimeter wire just to give it a little bit of weight. And being muskrat, called a Muskrat Nymph, I like to use muskrat fur. Looks like this. Has like an orangish brown color on the top, but it's got this really dark, fluffy undercoat on it. And if you don't have muskrat, you can use just normal dubbing. I like the darker color gray. You can really make it whatever color you want. You can use tan, whatever works best for you. So what I do is I just cut off some of the fur off the hide, and then I pull off as much of that brownish red looking guard hairs, and then I mix it up, and you get a big ball of fluffy dubbing. And so to start out, I take a piece of wire and just wrap it around the hook. Like so. Pinch it together a little bit, get a little bit more weight. You can get really particular on the number of wraps that you do. Or if you're like me, you don't really care. I don't like to use my good scissors to cut wire. And this wire is easy enough that you can just pinch it with your thumbnail and it'll break right off. And then I just flatten that down so it doesn't catch on anything. That end. And then I squish it together. And it kind of, you can see it kind of slides around. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to tie that wire in. Move it back a little bit from the head. And tie that wire in, pushing it forward and wrapping my thread around it. Getting it all tied in there, and I get off to the back, wrap around a couple times. Cut off my excess. Again, push that wire together because it'll kind of help you form a body. Wrap around a couple more times, work my way up the front one more time. Work my way back. And so what I'm going to be doing is taking my ball of dubbing, whether it's actually muskrat or whether it's artificial dubbing or whatever material they make it out of. And I'm just going to be taking a tiny, tiny bit and just pinching it with my fingers and getting a really thin layer on my thread. And I'm just going to start wrapping. I want it to be pretty tight on there. And I'm just going to keep putting more and more dubbing on there. You kind of want it almost like a cylindrical shape, kind of like a cigar looking. You want it to be thinner towards the back, a little bit thicker towards the middle, and then you kind of want it to taper back off down towards the front. So it's got a taper there, chunky in the middle, and then it tapers back down towards the head. So again, you just take dubbing and wrap it around and start working on your taper. Gets pretty chunky in there. So once you get to the front, after you've tapered it off and kind of made a little head, just give her a whip finish. Snip it off, and there you go. You've got yourself a muskrat nymph, and you can take a little wire brush and make it more scruffy if you want to, and whatnot, but I've caught a ton of fish on these flies. They're super effective, super simple, and they don't take very long. So enjoy.